Up next is Mike Wallenfels, SVP Global Sales at Helen of Troy, which you know, that little company that acquired our beloved Hydra Flask. Before coming to Hydra Flask, he spent much of his career in sales leadership for other global brands like Timbuktu, Mountain Hardware. He's also advised digitally native brands, think Cotopaxi and Rumpel, and extending beyond their direct online sales worlds. He's here to tell us a little about the journey and share some of his wisdom. So, Mike?
Thank you very much. Got to make sure my props are still here. All right, so it is great to be here on the EDCO PubTalk stage. I've watched enough of these where I think I know what goes on, but every time it could just be a little bit different. I'd first like to, I can't help it, and they're going to hate it, but I have to give a shout out to my two daughters in the audience back there. All right, we have Holly. Holly works at Cairn, who has been on this stage, and a great Ben company. Cameron just graduated from University of Oregon just about a week and a half ago, so if you need somebody, she's looking for a job. Thank you very much. So I want to make one thing clear, because I've been to a lot of these presentations. I'm not here to talk about a SaaS platform or a next iOS app. Just make that clear. I've had about a 30-ish year career in consumer, lifestyle, outdoor, and sporting goods products, and primarily a lot of that career has been focused on sales, getting stuff in retail or online and getting in people's hands. My name's Mike Wallenfels, and I believe in retail. A little bit about my journey, going to talk a little bit about my successes, and because I'm a sales guy, I never say failure, it's always lesser successes. And a little bit of advice about what I've learned along the way that you might be able to take. And I realize in the audience, because I've been involved in Cascade Angels, been involved in a number of pitches, there are people here that are on the investing side, people here that are entrepreneurs, people here that have products, people that want to have a product come out. There's a broad range of things that you might want to try to cover, and then hopefully we can do a little dialogue afterwards. A little bit about me. I first started getting addicted to retail by working retail. I did that when I was in college. Worked at an outdoor retail chain on the sales floor, became a manager. As I was going to college, I realized, well, I might do this thing for a little while. I pitched myself as being at 22 years old, I'd like to be a buyer. I'd love to buy things like North Face and Patagonia and Chouinard equipment for the retail stores. I think that would be a really cool job. I got it. That got me in contact with a lot of the brands who were really emerging and were leading the industry in the outdoor specialty world, and now became such global powerhouses. It's just amazing I was able to be there in that place at that time. I also became a co-founder. I also became a president and VP of president of a company and also VP of sales and marketing. And now what I'm doing here at Hydra Flask and with Helen of Troy, running sales globally for one of their divisions. I'd like to talk a little bit about the journey. So one of the first places I started was working at retail, and I decided I want to get on the wholesale side of the table, right? Every retailer thinks they can run a product company, so I thought I could help to do that too. So I became a national sales manager for a brand called Sierra Designs. Sierra Designs at the time was actually owned by the North Face and was a sister company with Marmot. The overall company that owned the two went bankrupt, go figure, one of the first time that North Face had a financial issue. So we had to face what is our future going to be. So actually 6 of us that were at Sierra Designs, we decided to peel off and do something really dumb. You know, my father-in-law at the time said that would be the worst thing you could possibly do with a daughter that had just been born. Why don't you start a company? So we started Mountain Hardware. And part of the premise of starting Mountain Hardware was, of course, we had a great product team. We had a great marketing people on hand. We also had a great leadership. We had great financial backing. But the thing that we also had was the ability to understand what the market was doing. And I'd been in sales, I'd been in retail. Finding out how we could position Mountain Hardware to be right within the marketplace was a critical part of how that brand started. So you can have a great product idea, great brand positioning, but who you're going to sell, how you're going to sell it, and really defining what that reason why you're there. One of those key reasons why is the specialty market was looking for something different. They're looking for brands that were partners, and they're looking for people that they could trust. Well, we started out that way. We started out targeting 100 customers because that was a nice round number. We wound up selling 99 of those 100s. I'm still going to hold it against them to this day. Nat's Outdoor Store in Bowling Green, Kentucky did not buy from Mountain Hardware that first year that we pitched it. But eventually they did by the next year. But we targeted that specialty industry. We had something unique to tell. And we knew that we could grow and expand our reach once we had entrenched ourselves in the core part of the market that would make the brand what it is today. The next step that we needed to do was get involved with a couple partners that would really scale us, but we needed to find out when that would be right. And there was one partner that was that potential one, was this big 3-letter behemoth called REI. REI, based out of Seattle at the time, maybe 50-ish stores, but the specialty industry considered them to be the evil empire. If you sell them, you're going to be dead. We're all going to be dead. It's going to be horrible. How could you possibly sell somebody like REI? So we had to take it very heavily. Are we going to focus on specialty? We're going to open up a larger customer. Well, we did think about it wholeheartedly, but we said, how should we do this? And we're going to make sure we do it at the right time and in the right way. So I even got directly myself emails from a guy named Wally Smith, who's the CEO of REI at the time. Why won't you sell us? Everyone else is begging to be in our door. Like, well, we're not ready yet. Oh, we can't make enough. Oh, we're not quite scaled enough to be able to make it happen. But really, we wanted to make sure that our brand was strong enough and we had enough brand name recognition, that our marketing muscle was behind us, that we could be successful when we went in those doors. So REI, incredibly successfully launched across all product categories, crossed all doors, and then we could just keep moving on from there. We eventually won 3 vendor partner awards with REI 3 years in a row. Extremely recognized partner. Did any of the specialty stores drop us? Not really. Okay, so there's good stories, then there's the not so successful. Sorry, water. We had a rep in the East who had this growing retailer who was in the sporting good business. And they were, like selling balls and bats, but they said they could be an outdoor retailer, and they're called Dick's Sporting Goods. Just a few stores are based out of Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio Valley, and the rep is like, you got to do this, you got to do this. We're like, okay, we'll give it a try. Gave it a try, sold them Gore-Tex jackets, windstopper jackets, tents, sleeping bags. Before long, we get the phone call, stuff's really not selling. It's not the right stuff. My gut told me this wasn't going to be the right mix. They weren't really ready for it. And the thing that I'll really remember to this day is receiving the product back from Dick's Sporting Goods because we didn't want them to liquidate. They sent the stuff back to us. Remember actually opening up one of the boxes and there's $400 3-layer Gore-Tex jackets inside. And you know those security tags? Those big ones that you can't get off? They were pegged right through the center back of every 3-layer Gore-Tex jacket. They basically rendered every one of them unsellable ever again because they're no longer waterproof. That showed how well they knew our products and our categories. Lesson there, learn that the retailers understand your product, that they know how to sell it, they know how to merchandise it, present it, and that they're going to treat you right, and therefore they can be a long-time partner. I didn't work with Dick's Sporting Goods for quite a while after that, and that rep did not have their job for very much longer. Then I left Mountain Hardware after quite a few years there, for 16 years. Then I went to a brand called Timbuktu. What I thought I'd do there is get back to the entrepreneurial side. Timbuktu had already been in business for a number of years, but things have been going down, so I was hired to do a turnaround. Needed to hire a new product team, new marketing teams, new sales teams, to be able to get the brand back on the right trajectory again. They had a great reputation in the bike industry. They're one of the innovators of the bike messenger bag. So we could stay in the bike industry, but what about the outdoor industry? We already had the luggage industry, but what could be that next $10 million? That was the goal, because we had to move this thing to an exit. I was working for a private equity company as the operator, and that private equity company had a 3-year timeline, so this had to be pretty quick. Where's that next 10 million bucks? Well, we had to think, where could that be? Our current industry certainly wasn't going to do that next thing. We had to do something new. So as you're developing a channel plan, where can that next $10 million come from? Well, we knew a little tidbit for our own online sales. Great place to get data. And Timbuktu is an amazing online retailer, and they had a perfectly suited element to determine what the consumer wants, is that you could build your own bag. Has anybody here ever had a Timbuktu bag? Few. You can build your own bag, go on, design it, pick the colors, But one thing you could do is also pick a laptop sleeve, and you would tell us what laptop you had. And as you told us what laptop you had, we collected that data, and we knew that 80% of our consumers use MacBooks. We knew that a lot of them were starting to use this new thing called an iPad that had just come out a few years earlier. So let's design these things so they're ready for MacBooks and focus on MacBooks and iPads. We thought, let's come up with a great program for Apple retail. So that was on the goal, sell into Apple retail. So I actually created this whole program based on the iPad, because that was the newest, hottest thing. We had iPad sleeve. We had an iPad little side crossbody bag. We had day packs and messenger bags that had iPad sleeves in them. It was going to be amazing. We pitched it to Apple retail. They loved it. They thought it was just the greatest thing ever. We had to actually make the product before Apple bought it, because they basically, once they're ready to sell it in their stores, they give you about 90 days to get it to their retail stores. So you had to commit early. Big play, big dangerous play. Well, what happened? This is the launch of the iPad 2. I remember Steve Jobs standing on top of the stage with his black Mach T thing on, and he presented, here's the new iPad 2. Isn't it just incredible? It's going to do these amazing things. Then he goes, and by the way, here's the smart cover. Now, did anybody have a smart cover with their iPad? Not many. Well, Steve Jobs single-handedly killed every opportunity for an iPad item that was other than the smart cover to be actually sold in Apple retail. So here we are with product already being made, fabric, production already starting to happen. The retail employees had already written POs. But what happened? Steve Jobs said, we're not actually going to sell any iPad accessories other than the smart cover. So every one of those orders got canceled. So the answer there, be ready for plan B. In case plan A doesn't work out. Be able to sell them on your own website, find liquidation channels, but also realize you cannot completely count on plan A working, have other things that are happening. Because guess what? A little company called Amazon was making the Kindle. It was the same size as an iPad. So quick little reconfiguring, quick little trip up to Seattle and say, do we have a program for you? We've been designing this for years, and guess what? We made more margin with Amazon. We had a hugely successful attachment rate, but you only get that if you understand where you have the opportunity for success and where you have the opportunity for that next step and that place to be. And your sales leadership and your product leadership team working together can help define where that's going to go. And you have to decide early to include Amazon or exclude Amazon. But if you're going to do Amazon, do it right. Don't let other people mess it up for you. And there's really no room in the middle. And I think that's where some brands do. They hover there in the middle, sort of admitting but not admitting that they're on Amazon as a partner. Develop a plan for omni-channel, budget ahead of time. And I think somebody here in this audience, we're chatting about it earlier, saying, well, what do they not do right maybe in the very beginning? And to me, that's setting the budget early. Just so you could set a budget for product development or legal, set up a budget early for this is how much we have to spend on sales. Sales talent, sales development, and sales costs, and sales related expenses. All right, so that's a little bit of my journey. Hopefully you shared a little bit with everyone in the audience. I'd be happy to have some questions. Thank you.
So I'll kick it off. You've got Amazon, you've got regular retail. Where does eBay fit into that universe?
Who's eBay? Actually, I was just meeting with my e-commerce sales manager in our office today. I have a sales manager just for e-commerce, but governing the Amazon business and other digital online platforms, and so eBay. eBay is an annoyance, really. eBay is my biggest intellectual property challenge. I probably spend more money on third parties trying to take people off of eBay because they're not treating the brand right there typically. So eBay does allow you to set up an eBay store, but I've worked with eBay stores very much and there's not very much revenue there. So there's really not much there. So it's pricing enforcement, brand enforcement, counterfeit enforcement. That's what my view of eBay is today.
Great. So from the audience? Yes, sir. So did Hydra Flask make a mistake by going too broad too early and then had to scale back?
I'd say the latter. I mean, it was good. They needed to. I mean, literally within Hydra Flask, when I first came in, they had this 64-ounce growler that every time anybody placed an order that was more than about $2,000, they would ring it. Go like, bong, yay, we got a sale. They needed them. They needed to make those sales happen. But then it's coming in later and going, wait a minute, we need to reconfigure and make sure that we're refocusing our channels. So they needed that in order to get to where they were. But I think if they probably did a little bit more guidance and a bit of forethought to try to control some of the madness, especially with how messy Amazon was. But we were able to get back, we were able to correct the ship and get it there because it didn't go that far too late and too long.
Anyone else? So will internet sales pass bricks and mortar, or will they just both keep on growing and retail will always stay ahead?
Well, because of retail's sheer scale, it's still going to keep and be that larger piece of it. But yes, every indicator is that online is growing at that 15 to 20% rate. Amazon growing at 20%, general online sales overall growing by 15%, but a lot of people are noticing that online sales that aren't Amazon are kind of slowing down, but you have some people starting to catch up. Walmart is actually starting to become a serious player here. Zulily is becoming a serious player in terms of total online sales. So yes, their growth rate is more, but there's still a lot of room to catch up. And there's still a lot of consumers that still enjoy that at once. I think you would call it same-day shipping, which is going to a store, handing over money, and taking it out of a store.
Instant delivery. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
So the question there is there a counterfeit problem for a Hydro Flask? Yes. It's getting bigger. Actually, I had a conversation with some people from some bigger wigs from Amazon at the last Outdoor Retailer show last week, and they said, hey, what problems do you have that we could help you solve? Because we're becoming a really big deal on Amazon. Hydro Flask as a brand is the 57th most searched term on Amazon. It's the second most searched term on Dick's Sporting Goods website after Nike. And it's #1 search term on the REI platform. Right? So there's stuff that people are noticing. And we're finding that we've gotten 3 shipments recently, just over the past month, confiscated by Customs and Border Patrol of shipments that were destined directly to Amazon warehouses. Like the delivery point was Amazon Warehouse X in Georgia or Amazon Warehouse Y over here. So we're on high alert, they're on high alert. Amazon doesn't do that much to protect your brand. They say they do, they don't do that much, but yeah, we're noticing more and more, and they're getting better.
What did you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say? Oh, we do. I can't see. Ah, yes, right in the bright light. Go ahead. How to succeed so you're not dead.
I'm just trying to answer that question overall. Yeah, thank you, Andy. That's actually something that Hydra Flask focused on early. Retailers do need help, right? They don't wake up every day thinking about your brand in their store. They open up the door, they think about whatever issue they're facing that day, but you're not top of mind, believe it or not. And so Hydra Flask noticed that we were just an accessory. We weren't a primary, we were an accessory item, and we had to go in and physically touch those stores. We created our own displays, merchandised them, create signage, hired people that knew how to execute that had worked at places like Adidas and Nike and Columbia Sportswear. They all come from Portland. They're local-ish. And executing in-store excellence, that's what we always claim to be one of our key pillars that we wanted to do to set us apart from the other brands, so you weren't just sitting on a shelf next to somebody else. So you do have to invest in your in-store presentation, and you also have to invest in your retailers helping to market to their consumer for you. It's actually way more expensive for you as a brand to market generally to the public than it is to market your brand through the retail partners that have people already walking in their door. So we set pretty aggressive budgets on retailer cooperative marketing, and also very, very aggressive seven-figure numbers for in-store merchandising and presentation and talent that would service those.
So I've got a question after watching Shark Tank and Mr. Wonderful all the time. How does the little cockroach get shelf space in these retailers when you're just starting off?
The right people to knock on the right door. That's what really that message is about having the right sales talent, is that there are relationships matter because there's an element of trust. And even though the title on the card says retail buyer, I've always kind of jokingly said the actual job title is retail refuser. And because their job is to not pick the stuff that they, basically try to pick the stuff that they need and not need. And there's more things that they get to them that they don't need or they don't. So you have to find that point of difference. You have to find that reason why and that connection to be able to say, yeah, we're the right one for you. So part of Hydra Flask, what we very early on, and the question that Andy had there earlier, what did you do at retail? Actually, because I was in retail, I did the retail math for them. Said, if you buy this product that'll fit on this display, that represents so many dollars of inventory investment. If you sell through that inventory 3 times during the year, you're going to get so much in gross margin profit. If you make that much gross margin profit, how did you make per square foot? And show me another product in your store that would make you that much money per square foot in your store. And then that became one of the most compelling arguments that our sales reps had to be able to get those displays, get the product there, and then it did wind up turning itself and living up to the promise that we made.
Any? Yes. How do you clean the inside of a Hydra Flask?
Well, Hydra Flask does have a close partnership with this other company called OXO, who knows how to make, brushes. So we do have a Hydra Flask branded bottle brush, right? So that'll be a little bit of dish soap, and then use the brush on the inside, but it's got to be a Hydra Flask one only, because otherwise no other brush works with a Hydra Flask product. Now there are rumors that people... Now, there are rumors that there are sometimes people leave coffee or maybe, I don't know, something like a blended juice drink in their car a little bit too long in their Hydro Flask, and that just doesn't do enough. There's actually a great product called Bottle Bright, and Bottle Bright is an all-natural tablet you can put in that has enzymes that actually attack any of those odors. So just have to do that once in a while.
Big hand for Mike. So in the long-term EDCO PubTalk tradition, I'd like to present you with your own special PubTalk mug, which you can bring back here. And from now on, when you come to PubTalks, your beer is free. They'll fill it up as much as you want, as often as you want at PubTalks.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and do that now. I want to know why I didn't get this at the beginning.
I got mine. I've got mine here. Great. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.